I am ready for the session now. So before I jump into the session, I would like to thank again all of you for joining this session, and I hope you will enjoy all the sessions. Like we have 3 sessions for today. First one is the Viva Connections and how you can extend the functionality using SPFx. Then second will be processing the documentation, and the third one be Power Pages deployment using Azure DevOps, right? So before we jump into the session, how many of you know about this Viva Connections? SPFx, SharePoint Framework. Okay, so we have good number of people who work in SPFx. So before I jump into the session, I'm officially introduce myself now. So myself Kirti, and I am working as modern workplace architect and working as an independent consultant. Along with that, I have been nominated or awarded for MVP since last 3 years, and I'm also MCT. And as a passion that I mentioned that if you want to be in a community or grow the community, then there are n number of ways where you can share your knowledge. So you can see I'm just trying to share my knowledge through speaking in some of the events, writing the blogs, providing some kind of training where the people have the team but they don't know how to use it, where to use it. As a community member, not as a kind of professional trainer. And then I am very much involved in the development part, like creating the custom components for the Office development, then Microsoft Teams, then develop the solution using the Power Platform. And also, I am an organizer of M365 Ahmedabad user group. So we started that group in 2017, like the one Bhupendra and Rohit started like in the Indore. So we have the same kind of community in Ahmedabad, and we are organizing all the events under that user group umbrella. Like event could be anything. It's a kind of small meetup, internal discussion for 10-15 people, or having a workshop, or having a kind of this boot camps like Power Platform boot camps, then global development boot camps. So we are organizing such events under the user group. And if you want to get in touch with me, then in the right side, those are my social media and personal information where we can be in touch, and I will be more than happy to connect with you and help the community to grow in a better way. So this is all about me. And today I'm going to talk about how you can use Microsoft Viva Connections, and after using that, what are the options to extend it, right? So it may happen that you have implemented this Viva Connections for any customer. Now customer is coming, okay, this is out of the box Viva Connections, but I need to extend it to some other level, right? So what are the options available for us as a developer and address those issues or the requirement? So that's why I've just added with how to use SPFx to extend that Viva connection to the next level, right? So I have just to make this agenda very simple because I just want to make sure that you understand what is Viva connection, how to set it up, and after setting up, what are the different components are available when we are talking about this Viva connection implementation or adding some other things on the dashboard. And after that, how you can use SPFx web part, how to create it, what are the prerequisites, and then the web part can be added into your Viva connection, and that will be available for all the users who are accessing these Viva connection sites. So this is the basic agenda I have planned for today. So anyone knows about what is Viva? Yes?
It's just give an insight of all the regular activity, like if we talk about the emails, so it gives an insight about what are the new like insights about that email, like what are the new emails, what is the work schedule that you have to plan. So these are the things that we get from Viva.
Okay, so this comes under, there are 4 components we can categorize like that: connection, insights, topic, learning. So these are the category of Microsoft Viva. So that's a part of one, like nowadays you are getting an email like briefing insights, something like that in your Outlook, right? So that is again a part of insights. So you are receiving that emails because something has been configured that you will be notified out of the box, and it will help you to set up your work, right? So there are options available. Okay, I want to make myself busy with some other task, then I have an option to what it calls like busy yourself for a couple of hours, right? So that gives you a kind of information or notification that okay, you can block your time, so no one will connect with you during that time. So that comes as an insight. So as you mentioned that this is correct one, but as a user, if I think that it's a kind of employee experience platform, right? So that will suffice, like how this during the pandemic, this comes into the picture during this corona pandemic thing, right? So their main goal is to how to connect this employee through this portal, because it's difficult to connect everyone on Teams or calling and getting that information. So these are the options they have come up with that will help us to improve the employee experience. So employee will get a single platform from where they will get all this information using different category tools, right? So I'll come to that point later in this one. So it's a simple platform where employee can have a better experience to connect with other colleagues throughout the organization, where they can share the knowledge, connect with team member, these colleagues or project leaders, and then they can also find few things from the centralized repository where you have this knowledge database available and you are getting that information from there. So that's a simple definition of employee experience platform. And after this session, I will share few reference links from where you can explore more, because it's very difficult to cover everything in 50 minutes or 1 hour, like in terms of theoretical concept and practical. But I will share a few of the links from where you can explore your own. So under this Microsoft Viva, there are a lot of other categories they have involved, but I have just considered 4 as of now. So they have added sales and goals as well. So that is not mentioned in the PPT. So first is the connection, second learning, insights and topics. So out of these 4, each topic is having a different functionality, different set of implementation, and different set of requirement to be addressed with the customer, right? So for today's session, I'm going to talk about only Viva Connections. That's a one category. So if you have an option to explore more like topics, learning and insights and engage, Viva Engage now. The Yammer is become this Viva Engage. So for the connections, what is it? What is Microsoft Viva Connections? So again, it helps to improve the employee experience. So Viva Connection is nothing but whenever we are thinking about the Viva Connection, think about your SharePoint site, right? So in SharePoint site as a online intranet portal, or that could be for your customer. So what you are looking on the home page, news, events. So that will help you to understand what is happening in the organization, right? So most critical information we are mostly having on the home page, right? So to address this, we will have a kind of interface. First you have to prepare the intranet. How the intranet look like when user is trying to access it. Where you will be able to add your Viva connections. Like I'll let you know how to add it. But first thing is, you have to set up an this intranet portal where you are looking out for a information which can help your employee or improve their experience through accessing that portal. And then second thing is, it will also help you to drive the business decisions, right? Based on these Viva connections, you are getting more information from the user or the person who is accessing the portal. And that will also help to get some feedback from there. Okay, this is what we have after implementing that, and these are the options we need to take care of. And based on those input or metrics, they will be able to take about some decisions. So that also help us to get that And third one is the enhance employee engagement. So once you are having this information available on your portal, then that's the best or better option for user to connect with anyone from the portal. And this site not only available as a SharePoint site, but the same site can be added into the Microsoft Teams as a Microsoft app, Teams app, right? So single application can be accessed from different platforms. So if you are using your mobile phone and you have the Teams installed, you can just open your Teams and you will be able to see what is happening into this your connections portal. So you will get all the information without opening the SharePoint site, right? So that's how it will help you to enhance this employee engagement in a different way. Either go with the Microsoft Teams, open the portal, connect with your colleague, project manager, get this news information, events information, and what is happening, that latest information is available on the portal. So you can access those information from portal as well. Now, as I mentioned that there are some prerequisites or some steps we have to follow to set up this, right? So I've just not prepared, but I have just grabbed this screenshot from one of the Microsoft portal, where you have total 8 steps to have this implementation end to end. So first thing is, when I mentioned, you have to prepare your intranet, like how your intranet will look like and what are the critical information that will help your employee to get whatever the information they are required, right? So first you have to prepare that, and as I mentioned, the critical information or prioritize the content. So that's the main thing. You may have n number of content to be displayed on portal, but you have to decide the priority. What is the best top priority for the end user when they are accessing this portal? So you have to prepare a kind of internet portal like that. And after that, you have to set that site as a home site. How many of you know about hub site? Hub site, not home site. Hub site everyone know, and home site few people knows. Okay, so to have this functionality, that's the prerequisites. Your site should be home site, right? So I'll show you in the demo how we can create it. And the third thing is, once we have the home site enabled, then we will have this SharePoint app bar and customize things enabled for us. Without setting up the home site, you will not be able to see that option from where you will be able to create this dashboard for Viva Connections, right? So that's the third step. And after enabling that, you have to create a dashboard. Now dashboard, what is dashboard? So this is a part of Viva Connections, or we can say feature of the Viva Connections. So dashboard, anyone knows? Simple language dashboard. It's a common definition for all dashboards. Yes?
So basically the dashboard used to see like what I'm going on.
Mm-hmm.
What are the key aspects like let's say
Mm-hmm.
key information we can show using the graphs or using any other way like we
Yeah,
can
right.
change what is going on.
Mm-hmm. So this is more kind of Power BI dashboard where we have the different graphs, some information. But here we may or may not have same kind of functionality to be available for user, but we may have different components. For example, what you are looking out for when you are logging into the portal as on dashboard. First thing, if someone assigned you some task, right? So when you log in, you will be able to see how many tasks I have to complete today. So task assignment, right? Second thing is frequently used URLs, right? If you are having n number of URLs, but out of that 3 or 4 URLs you are using every day, like you are opening Jira, Azure DevOps, Azure this portal. So those are the or links which can be used n number of times in a day. So you can add those in your dashboard. Third thing is you can add some kind of approval process thing. Like if you want to create some approval process, you can add that. So these are the component which can be added into your dashboard. right? So we have to create the dashboard using those available, out of the box available components. Now, if you think about this SPFx web part, right? We have deployed the web part available in app catalog. Now I want to add that web part on page. So we are just editing the page, clicking on plus icon, and then pop-up comes up. So what is that called? The pop-up is coming after editing the page, where we have the n number of web parts, out of the box as well as the custom. What is we can call it? Yes, correct. So web part gallery. Same web part gallery we will have in the when we are editing the dashboard or creating new item for dashboard. But only one difference is in SPFx we have n number of web parts, right? But for this Viva Connections we have limited set of resources or content. If you see, I'll show you in the demo, like we have 7 or 8 components available out of the box. Like one is the link, one is this task, and one is approval process. So there are 7 or 8, I don't know exact number, but 7 or 8 options are available as of now. So we have to create the dashboard accordingly, and we have prepared the content, we are good. Now after that, this content should be available in Microsoft Teams as well. So in step 6, we have to add this as an app in Microsoft Teams. So site is ready, that is available for all users who are accessing through the SharePoint portal, right? But what if we want to use in the Microsoft Teams? So the same thing we have to enable in Microsoft Teams. So after enabling or setting few configurations, we will be able to add that into our Microsoft Teams. So for that, we have to add that from the organization settings, enable it. Then we have to add the Viva Connections, Microsoft Teams app. And after that, our site, home site, whatever the site we have configured as a home site, that will be available as a default entry point. And after that, you can launch, or if you want to educate your users how to use it, then you will have another session on that, and you can notify all the members that okay, we have implemented this Viva Connections, and that will be available in Microsoft Teams, and you can access from here. So this is the basic implementation steps, how you can start thinking about designing the intranet portal and how make it available as a Viva connection in Microsoft Teams as well as the SharePoint portal. Any questions so far?
Basically, like you have mentioned two steps here, 1 and 4. So,
Hmm.
in the 1 also you are talking about making prioritizing all the content, which is important to
Right.
display on the
Mhm.
right? So, in the same way, dashboard is also designed
Yes.
for the same purpose.
Correct.
So, why
Difference. Okay.
What is
So
the
yeah, good question. So intranet portal is, think about your SharePoint site, any SharePoint site, right? So ideally what happens in SharePoint, we have one banner, then news web part, event web part, and some other quick links web part or some other custom web parts you are adding, but right? But as a user, as a personal site access, what needs to be available for me, right? So for that, in Viva Connections, we are setting few things which comes as a dashboard on top of the page. It can be added anywhere, but that's a separate from the intranet portal, right? Intranet portal is having all the information for all the users, right? But in dashboard, if I want to configure such thing like I will be able to see the task assigned to me in this priority dashboard area, then I have that option to add web part task, and then I will be able to figure it out like who are the target audience, and I will be able to filter that based on who is logged in. So that's a two separate thing. But yeah, it's a good question, like why we are setting up this two as a prioritize the content. So the difference is here we are prioritize the content. Content can be anything on your portal. Now if you see or observe this dashboard, you are adding cards in the visiting card. Just assume that visiting card. So visiting card may have different layout, image, text, only image. So those all the options will be there. Then you can also apply like who are the people who will be able to see this. So we have that option to set the target audience, right? So that can be also configured, but the approach is different to set it up. Any other questions?
So if you have if you have any question, please make sure you have mic so that everyone can hear you.
So in the dashboard, can we configure some more options, or can we create
Yes.
custom? So
We will come to that point. I am just talking about the out of the box functionality for now, right?
Okay.
So once we are done with that dashboard creation, then this question comes in, right? What if customer want that the functionality I'm looking for, it is not available in this 7 or 8 component? Then what we will do? We will create one SPFx web part. So that's how we are extending this Viva connection, right? So that's why I mentioned then extending or extensibility of Viva connection using SharePoint Framework web part, right? So that can be done using this. So let's jump into the demo directly. Let me know if anyone have any questions before we start demo.
So, do we need any additional licensing for this?
No, for Viva connections we don't require. But for other categories, like as I mentioned, topics and maybe sales or goal, those require the license. But for Viva connection, we don't require the license because it is associated with our SharePoint site. So as a prerequisites, we just have to make this site available as a home site when we are trying to have this connection implementation. So I'm just trying to open my browser now.
So this Viva connection is part of E3 license or a separate? Like Teams is a separate product, and
Yeah, it's a separate product.
it is part of E3 license.
Yes, I think so.
So we have to enable that.
No, it's available out of the box.
Okay.
For topics, you have to add it as a separate product.
No, at the licensing level, I'm saying suppose Teams we can disable or enable. So Viva connection also we can.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
But for Microsoft Topics, you have to pay $5 per user per month.
Okay.
And that's added as a separate product license. So, assume that this is my intranet portal, right? So first step, now think about the first step, where we have to set up the intranet portal. In that intranet portal, we have to make the content which is a priority base for all the users who are connecting with this portal, right? So you have to create this kind of intranet portal. Now, what if you want to create this kind of good looking or kind of having these placeholders available for you? So do you know any options available for us to create the site like this?
Site templates?
Yes, so we have the templates available. If you see, what's the name of the site? Lookbook, right? Lookbook. So under the lookbook, we have n number of templates available. So based on your requirement, you can just select the category and the templates will be available. This is just for creating this, use the template. Why don't we use, right? We can just change the placeholders and content according to our requirement, but better to use it. It will take some like 5-10 minutes just to provision that into your tenant, but it's better to use that.
I think nowadays it is directly available under
Yes.
configuration.
That is there, but I'm talking about the initial days, like we have to make it like select this and in your tenant you have to provision it. So it was taking some time, but Microsoft is gradually changing all this functionality based on the user voices. Like if I'm not able to find lookbook and able to get the template from there, so now they have injected everything in one section. So first priority thing is you have to prepare the portal, internet portal, with considering the priority content where user will be able to see everything they are looking out for, right? So for example, in this you can add the banner, right? Or what is happening or what is about to happening in the company from where all this user will get every information regarding that event or anything. So you can add that. In the right side section, you can add the content accordingly. So after preparing this, the second step will be enabling or creating your setting up this site as a home site, right? So assume that we have set up this intranet portal. Now time to make it available or configure as a home site. So from where we can enable this as a home site. Now I am opening another tenant where I have already set up this thing, just to considering the time constraint. I'll show you all the steps, right? But we are just switching from one tenant to another tenant. So here you can see the tenant is SPUGA. Now the tenant will be different. So this one. So to enable or make your intranet portal as a home site, first you should have that access, or you have to ask your administrator of this portal and go to the SharePoint Admin Center, right? Not in M365 Admin Center. This will come under SharePoint Admin Center. From there, you have to click on settings. So once you click on settings, all the sites will be available for you, right? So there are 5 sites for me with SharePoint as an app. Now here you can see the first one, SharePoint as a home site. Here you can see home site, right? So that I have already configured it. But what if it is not configured in your portal? So let me jump into the another tenant, and I'm just opening the same URL. Let me go to the admin center first and then opening the SharePoint. So if you don't have access on the organization level tenant, then you can create your developer account, use your own tenant, and just to explore this. So from here you will be able to see that I have already set up the landing as a home site. And if I open the site, this home site, right? So you can see the difference if I click on here. See, I'm just showing the difference now. In the settings, you can see manage Viva Connections, right? Now what I'm doing, I'm just excluding this site from home site, and then we will come to this page again and we'll see what is the difference, right? So from SharePoint Admin Center, I'm just clicking on this and removing this, right? I'm just deleting this, save it. So now I have not anything set up as a home site in my this tenant, SPUGA tenant, right? So now I'm going back to this page and just refreshing this. Right? See, there is no change in the content. Content will remain as it is, but the functionality I'm looking for is to have a kind of Viva Connections. So that is not available in this section, settings section, right? So as I mentioned, the prerequisite to enable your Viva connection in your portal is the site should be home site, right? So once I enable again, now this site is as a home site, and go back to this page and refresh this portal again and just click on settings. See, we have this manage Viva Connections now, right? So this is how you can configure your home site and make it available your portal as a home site configuration, and then you will be able to see the Viva Connections options, right? Now the third step, we have set up this available everything. Third step was enable the app bar. So app bar is already enabled for me, but if you can see here, we have that option, global navigation, this one. So from here you can change it to home site in navigation, right? So you have to enable this. So that's the third step. And under the fourth step, you will be able to see we have to make this site available in Microsoft Teams. So there are two things we have to think about as a configuration part. First, go to your SharePoint Admin Center, make your site available as a home site. Now after that, second step is we want to add that site into Microsoft Teams, right? So in Teams, if your organization is not added this Viva Connection as an app, then the steps are like you can go to your Teams Admin Center, Teams from Microsoft 365 Admin Center, and from where we have to set up like organization level setting, and then we have to enable it first, and after that we have to add this Viva Connection app into our Microsoft Teams. Yeah.
So suppose we already have one home site and client wants a Viva connection for another site, right? So now what happened, because we already have a home site and that is a production site. Now we need to create another site and wants to create the Teams app for the same. So in that case, we have to change the home site from to the the newly one.
New one, correct.
So is there any alternate way we can do the same thing?
For Viva Connection, that's a prerequisite that you can have only one home site throughout the tenant.
Okay.
See, here I don't have any option to create new site as a home site,
Right.
And here the name is already there under the settings.
Yes.
So this is the tenant level settings. So we have to convince the customer that this is the requirement for functionality from the Microsoft, that we cannot create another 2 home site or 3 home site in one tenant, but they can have different tenant to be used to accommodate this requirement.
Okay.
Right?
So one more question here. So suppose like we created one home site, right, for the newly created app. And after that, once I created the application and it is appearing in the Teams, I am going to remove the home site and make the previous one as a home site.
Yes.
So in that case, what happen? The application will work same.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
The same I just explained that I have removed that
Okay.
home site from here, though the dashboard and content was there. Dashboard was not deleted, right?
Yes.
Dashboard was still will be available for users. Content will remain same. We are just removing from that association. We are not deleting anything as a content or any content from the dashboard. We are just delinking from our home site to a normal site. That's it. Content will remain same.
Suppose I have used the previous site as a home site and it is integrated with Viva Connection and we have used in Teams. And what if I change with the new site and make another? So what will happen? The app will remove from there?
Microsoft
From-
Teams.
yes.
No, it will be associated with the new one.
New one?
Yes.
Okay, and the previous one will
Because
be
we have added
replaced.
that as a app, and that app will consider which site you have associated as a home site.
Okay.
So that will link that site.
So we cannot have the 2 apps there.
No, only that comes under the Viva Connection app.
Okay.
So first we have to add Viva Connection app in Microsoft Teams, and that Viva Connection Microsoft Teams app is linked with your home site.
Okay.
Whatever home site URL you have used, right? So we can have only one Viva Connection app in this Microsoft Teams, and under that we can link this URL.
I have one more.
Yeah.
Actually, we previously implemented the same thing for our client. The main requirement, actually, client expecting here, like they want to create app for a specific group. Like the specific group of users can only see that particular app. So is there any limitation we can set that kind of limitation so that only the specific group will show the app?
So it's not necessary that you can think about one approach only. There are n number of options available. As we were discussing, like if you want to create only web part, then that web part is not the one solution we can like suggest to the customer. There are n number of options available to implement the same functionality. Same case we can use here. It's not necessary to use the Viva connection, right? But we have to think about the other aspects of why we are going to use the Viva connections. Do we have anything else apart from this component where you are talking about, like I want to display something for a specific group? Do we have apart from this any functionality which can help customer to use Viva connections? If not, just ignore that and just create custom web part. And under custom web part, we have all privileges who can visit the web part or see the web part, do the CRUD operations like managing the groups, target audience, everything we can do that, right? First, we have to think about all the aspects why we are suggesting this usage of Viva connections, and after that, what is the requirement they want to extend it. Either that will come out of the box or we need to create some custom component. Then you have to think like that, right? So there are a number of options available, but the main thing is do not stick with any single approach. Think about other options available, like these are the options we can think about, and we can achieve the same functionality without configuring this or using the configuration of this Viva connections. So any questions?
So if I create a home site, I would like to associate it with multiple hubs. So is that possible?
That I need to check, like we were discussing yesterday, right? But yeah, home site will be your root site. Under that you can have n number of hub sites, but for one hub site you cannot have n number of hub sites linked with that. But practically I have not like implemented that scenario, but as per the diagram we were discussing yesterday, it is possible that once you have the root site available, and then you can have n number of hub sites configurable, and under that you can link your department sites and other can be come as a hub site and navigate from there for user experience.
One more, like for the navigation, if you can go back to that site. So there is a navigation on the left side
Yes.
also.
Yes.
Right. So where to configure this? This is also linked to home site.
Yes. See here, all this are coming from this one. This one. Same. The left navigation and the top bar navigation is same.
And this is also a prerequisite if I want to set this
Not
navigation.
necessary, but if you want to set something else for the navigation part, then we have to enable that functionality, Viva Connection 1, and then we will be able to see that global navigation or navbar will be available for Viva Connections portal. Otherwise, the navbar is not available. As I mentioned here, this one, enable app bar. So enable the SharePoint app bar and customize navigation. So if you want to customize it, then we have to enable the navigation bar. Without that, we will not have an option to edit link or update link or add new links. Right. So, okay. So now we were talking about these teams, right? So go to Teams app, then setup policies. First you have to make it like this. First need to check the setup policies whether this global organization wide policies are enabled or not. So you have to set this up. After setting this one, you can jump into this Microsoft Teams, this one, and from setup policies, after setting up, you have to add this app. So you have to click on add apps and you have to select the Viva Connections. So this is Microsoft Teams app. So once it is available or added from the Teams admin, then whenever any user logs into Microsoft Teams, they will be able to see that option, right? So here you can see that the numbers are already there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can also identify your placement of, look, my app should be at number 1, 2, 3, right? After adding this, if I open Microsoft Teams, so I'm just opening this tenant team, and here you will be able to see the first one as a Viva connection, right? And the same portal I am able to see here. So if I do some changes in this portal, all the changes will be reflected here out of the box. I do not need to republish or refresh anything here in the Teams. So let's do this and do some changes here on the portal. I'm not doing any change for now, or I have not explained anything about dashboard yet, right? We are just discussing the out of the box website configuration part in SharePoint Admin Center and Microsoft Teams, right? So if you change anything, let's delete this web part from here, editing this page, and I'm deleting this news one and republish it. Now if I go back to Teams and just coming here, and then see the news web part is not in this portal. So the same portal interface can be accessible from Microsoft Teams, right? Now our fourth step, after enabling this, first we have prepared the portal. Then in the Microsoft Teams we have set up configuration, make it available as a home site. Now it's time to create the dashboard, right? So from where we can create it? So on the home page or any page, you can just click on settings and click on manage Viva connections. So once you click on that, then you have two options here. For me it says view dashboard, but if in your case, if the dashboard is not available, then the text will be create dashboard or create new dashboard, right? So you have to create new dashboard, but after clicking on this button, the interface we have, it's the same, right? For me it will display with existing content or component I have added into dashboard, but for one who is creating the new one, it will be blank. So I'm just clicking on that one and observe the screen now. This one, I'm just closing this. So here you will be able to see the content which I have in my dashboard. Now if I click on edit, so this is again page, you can see the URL landing page / site pages / dashboard.aspx. We have not created this page, right? When we are enabling this Viva connection, this page is automatically created in the site pages, right?
What if we already having the page with the same name?
Good question. I have not explored that, but we can try. Like, it may not allow you to create the same page in the same site pages gallery. When you are creating manually, then it will not allow you. The page is already exists right now. So I'm just clicking on edit page. Now after editing this one, you will be able to see this is coming in the mobile view, right? So by default it comes in the mobile view, but we have an option to change it to desktop. Here you can see by default it is mobile, but we can change it to desktop. So based on our requirement, we can change that how my preview will look like. So I'm just clicking on the desktop, and these are the controls or component I have added in my dashboard so far. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sorry, 6. Now I'm clicking on this plus add a card. As I mentioned that in the fourth step, when we are creating the dashboard, we have to add everything as a card. So under these are the cards. This is card. This one card, second card, third card. So these are the cards. So card may have only image, text, link, anything coming from your SharePoint list, anything you have created as a custom component. So whatever the content we are trying to display, that will come under these cards. No, I'll come to that one. Sorry, I need to take this call. Hello? 743. Sorry about this. So as I was mentioning that everything, whatever the content we are trying to display, that will come under this card, right? So now observe the screen and compare it when you are trying to add any SPFx web part in your normal SharePoint site, right? Now we are doing this for the dashboard for Viva Connections, right? So here the difference is managing the content in intranet portal and managing the content on dashboard, right? So this is the difference. So if I click here, then web part gallery will open. This is the web part gallery, right? Now under this you will be able to see the categories dashboard here, dashboard category, right? And under our that web part gallery, the normal SharePoint site, we have other options like links or others, whatever the groups we have created. So if I scroll down, then I have 10 items available out of the box, right? So approvals, assigned task, card designer, then fourth one ignore for now, fifth one is the praise. Like those are the component we can use in our dashboard, right? So let's say for example, I want to use web link, right? So just click on that, and from here you can see that options. You can edit this, duplicate it, drag and drop, move anywhere. Same functionality what we have when we are adding as a web part in SharePoint site. So I'm just clicking on this edit icon, and here this card size. So here we have an option, card size is medium by default, but it could be large. But we do not have any kind of height width pixel functionality which can be configured based on our requirement, right? So we have to bear with this for now, but their change might come going forward. So based on your content, how you are going to display it, you can select this card size. And as I selected this web link, so I have to provide the web link here. So I'm just giving this URL, and card title, if you want to add anything, you can add that. And thumbnail, if you want to change, or there are configuration options to make it available from anywhere. Card icon. So these are the properties which can be changed based on our requirement, how we want to use it in, like same way we are having for the web parts. So, and here we have that option called target audience. Like if you want to target certain people who can access this web part or this content when they are opening this portal, this landing home site page, and dashboard is available, but some of the people it will not be available. So you can target those audience as well. So after doing all this configuration, you can just save this, or we don't have save option, so we can just click outside of this and publish our page. Right, so I have added this one for now. Now go to your Microsoft Teams and just change it to other activity. Right, now here by default we have 4 options, 4 cards, right? So just click on see all, and you will be able to see the dashboard as a separate component. So the one which I have added is already there, right? So this is the basic requirement coming out of the box when we are configuring Viva Connections. Now the important question, what if customer is looking something else which is not available to be fulfill the requirement using those components? This one, let's say for example, if I am adding new card and it is not available here, this one, right? So what needs to be done as a developer? So yeah, so initially that option was not available. So that was in user voice, like how we want to have our own custom web part available in this one. So they have added this functionality, and we have to use the SPFx version greater than 1.13, and like the linking with the npm and node, according to that you have to set up the development environment, right? And after that, once you are creating the web part, you will be able to see one option, extensions. Under that you have that option, adaptive cards. So you can use that option and create your card as an extension. This will come as an extension, and you have to deploy it into your portal, and after that you will be able to add this as a dashboard.
This will come under this category, like dashboard category.
Yes, correct. So after, like, I am not going to explain all the steps because you are already working with SPFx. So just observe what other options available under the extensions, right? So we will have, and another thing, now if you are talking about the Visual Studio Code, then we have that gallery available, the template available, Viva Connections with SPFx. So you just have to use that. Let me open. So you have to add that extension in your Visual Studio Code, and from here you can create that. So I have created this one, the one default. So go to extensions, then, sorry. Yeah, this one, see. This is the coming, or let me open this extension first. If you want to add this extension from your Visual Studio Code, then you have to use Viva Connection Toolkit, right? So once you install this, then you will be able to create your web part from Visual Studio Code only, right? So it will set up all your required packages, npms, create your project, scaffold it, and you will have this page readily available. So the one which I have created, this one, where you have all these pages created. So I have just created this adaptive card extension with Hello World. So you can create your web part, make it available in your catalog, app catalog, and then you will be able to see that under the dashboard category.
So, like creating home site is still mandatory for this?
Yes, this is the extensibility of the Viva connection. But before that, we should have home sites available, configurable with the Viva connection, like you have created the dashboard, and after that it will be available in your dashboard as a web part under the web part gallery, right? So these are the link, like from here you can change the, as you know, SPFx developer knows from where we can change it, how to update these properties, state and everything. So do your coding as whatever you are doing for the simple SPFx web part, but the way we are using is different, right? So once it is deployed, then you will be able to see that component available here, like this, right? So if I click on that quick view, so let's click on, after like accommodating all your content, doing the changes in your dashboard, you have an option to have it as a preview, like how it will look like when actual user will be able to see in Microsoft Teams or any portal. So you have that option to preview it. So you can just click on this or hover over this, click it, and it will open like this. So this is the custom web part I have created, just to understand how to make extensible for customer, and how we can inject the custom web part into the dashboard, and that dashboard will be available in portal. So the same web part, if I open from Microsoft Teams, I will be able to see the same functionality here, right? So this way you can create the web part, add your content, add your logic. Now this is just a hello world, but it can connect with your SharePoint list. You can also have the CRUD operations here. Yes. No. See, for dashboard card, it is for that card only, right? But under that card, What content you are trying to display, that is again a question, and that needs to be done from SPFx web part, right? It may happen that from list you want to pull out some information which is not relevant to the person who is logged in, right? Yes, that is available, but that is for card. But under the card may have some content which is related to list, and that list may have 15 records, for example, but you want to pull out 10 records for the person who is visiting this page, right? So you can restrict from your web part, right? Or based on whatever the logic, like who is logged in, and after login you have to find the group with which group that user is associated, and you can target those in the web part. So that's a separate logic, but to make available card to the user, then we have another option, target audience, that is out of the box, where we just have to provide the name.
Basically, all the permission management we need to do by ourselves.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, correct. There is no change in the code. So consider that you are doing that web part, but you have to make it available in dashboard, Viva Connection dashboard. Then you have to use this process. The logic, writing of code, the way you are writing, it remains same.
So please make sure you have mic while you are questioning. Otherwise, everyone will not able to hear you guys, right? So please use mic.
So, is there any limitation when we are using it on Teams?
No.
Because there are some web parts, right, that not fully functional on the Teams.
Okay.
So, what happened if we will add those web part here in Viva?
See, it's a good question, but we have to think about this. As I mentioned, that it's not necessary that you can go with the Viva Connections only, right? So it may happen that some functionality may work in your SharePoint portal, but may not work in Microsoft Teams, right? So we have to think about those options while we are creating this POC or implementing such solutions. But most of the cases, whatever we are able to see as a web part in portal, that will work in Microsoft Teams, if you are adding as a dashboard for these Viva Connections. But if you are adding as an app, right, so we have to maintain the context, in which context this web part is loading, either Teams or SharePoint. So whenever creating any custom SPFx custom web part, in configuration we have 2 or 3 options, I guess, 2 or 3, Teams and SharePoint. So you have to make it available. My web part will be available in both the product or environment, and you have to write a code. If my web part is running in Microsoft Teams, then I want this kind of rendering view, because it may happen that in SPFx SharePoint portal we have single page application, like single page displaying, right? But in Teams you want different interface. So you have to add that condition, like if my user context is Microsoft Teams, then I would like to have the same functionality, but the interface will be different. Else, if it is rendering into the SharePoint context, then it will remain as it is. So if you observe, when we are creating the SharePoint, this is coming. Earlier days it was not there. So we were not able to use those web part in Microsoft Teams. We have to create 2 separate components. But now we have that option to make it like based on condition where we are loading this content, either SharePoint site or Microsoft Teams. So it will consider logged in users context, in which context we are. But mostly now all the products are that much of mature that we are having the same interface in terms of functionality, look and feel. Right.
Kirti, is it already available for Office app also? I mean, SPFx can be deployed and make it available for the Office also, Office add-in.
Yes.
So this Viva is also available?
Viva I have not explored that much, but I have created certain custom web parts. Like you can use those as a custom web part, but it could consider as your add-ins.
Okay.
Right. Solution will be your SPFX package file only, but that can be created as a add-in for your Office, Outlook Office, or Microsoft Office. Word, PowerPoint, anything.
Just out of this context, so is there any possibility that like we can deploy our SPFx as an Outlook add-in, but that also works on a client application? I mean, like Outlook client application. Earlier, I remember that like in 2021 when I explored this, so it was only available for the Outlook web app.
So again, that comes under the context, like in which context we are going to run this, right? I have created applications for online only, not for this client. Because if you think about the client, then it will consider your Windows context. It will not get the reference from who is logged in into web, right? So I have created so many apps, but all are app for this cloud
web.
only.
Outlook web.
I have created a couple of for Outlook, few of them for SharePoint Onlines. So in online, see what happens, like in Outlook, you have n number of customers. I'm just explaining business scenario how we can create this. So you have n number of customers, and those customers might have emails with attachments, right? Attachments document. So it's very difficult to find the attachment for all those emails from Outlook, right? So create a kind of app which can come as a feature in your SharePoint library or list. When you enable it, then it will allow us to select the customer name. From there, you have to add one entry into customer list, and then once you select that and find all the emails, you have an option in your app that find all emails associated with this customer. Then it will connect with your cloud Outlook and fetch all the emails where this email address is matching along with attachments. So you will get all this information like attachment documents, and from there you will open the pop-up and send all those documents, whatever the documents you are looking for. We have this checkbox functionality. I want to add this, I want to ignore this in a email functionality.
But ultimately the information is in Exchange Online,
Yes.
right? So we are ultimately getting from the Exchange. This is just an interface, that Outlook
Right.
client and Outlook web.
Yes.
So I'm just talking about, like, if I'm not aware about that, like if Microsoft has added support for the Outlook client version as well.
I don't think so it is there, because now most of the like app we are thinking about, if you are deploying something from the, or you can think about this SPFx online now, offline, this on premises. So you can use SP 2016 or 19 and create the web part, which can allow you to connect with your client Outlook. But I don't think in one application you will have an option to connect with both, like cloud one or the on premises one.
Okay, thank you.
But for most of the apps, now we are suggesting everything to be used in the cloud. Any questions? So I think I have covered most of the thing, but in terms of the extensibility, just try to use your same web part, creating the extension adaptive card, and put your code everywhere in that solution and deploy the solution, and try to see how it is coming under the dashboard, right? Steps are same. There is no change in the steps creating the web part, but you have to select that extension adaptive card. That's the only one change. Apart from selecting web part, then which framework you want to use, TypeScript, JavaScript, we don't have that option there. We have only 4 items, and your project scaffolding will be done. Right. So so under the teams available, then we have done with the demo. Let me know if you have any questions, and